All right, Ambush. Today we are joined by a singer, a song, a writer who has been honing her craft for years, singing in and out of various bands, projects, but her current project, a solo project, started back in 2019, and we are here today to talk about that progression here into a brand new song called After 31, which I mean, personally, I feel like maybe a little way too much. But either way, we're here today with my guest, Alex Hughes. How's it going today, Alex?
I'm doing great, Colton. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, it is an absolute pleasure. I am very excited to chat with you here today. So, of course, I would love to lay a little bit of a foundation for our listener, if that's all right for you. So, like I mentioned, your first single as Alex Hughes here released on September 2nd, 2019. But of course, you're probably probably very excited to go into this new world. And like most of us, we sort of got hit by this brick wall that sort of ended up sort of shutting everything down. So what did you, as an artist, as a brand new solo artist, how did you sort of go about adapting to make sure that you could make the most of this time?
Right. Well, as unfortunate as the circumstances were, I just tried to kind of make the most of the downtime. I am a performer who performs a lot, kind of before COVID happened. So I tend to overwork, and I would book every single gig I could. And just, I would not always have as much time as I wanted for the important things like songwriting, working on developing my artist brand and those types of things. So I just kind of took it as an opportunity to dive really, really deep into that, really start to figure out who I wanted to be as an artist, what I wanted to try to say, and also just write as much as I could. I think I counted that over COVID, I wrote over 50 new songs, which for me is quite a bit. Most of those were co-writes, lots were some solo writes as well. But I just loved kind of diving into the writing world. And I also took the opportunity to learn a little bit about recording. So I rented a bunch of gear. And for this single After 31, I actually recorded all my own vocals and I comped them all. So I tried to kind of take advantage of the time and gain as much skills as I possibly could.
Okay, so you set up a little bit of a home studio as well, just so that you could get some demos, but also get a little bit of singles recorded as well there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, taking advantage of what technology you had, because you also mentioned taking advantage of being able to songwrite, where before a lot of people were going to songwriter circles. You'd go to Toronto, you'd go to Nashville, you'd go to Calgary, wherever it happens to be, right? But it was pretty much almost always in person. And then all of us all learned oh, we could have been doing this online, pretty much the entire time. Cool. So where have you all been collaborating with this opportunity with being online? Who, has it been sort of all over the world? Has it sort of been just sort of the people you were co-writing with before, some new faces? What has that been like?
Oh, it's been amazing, honestly. I think because we were all forced to be at home, the opportunity, as you were saying, to work with people from all over the world sort of became a realistic thing. So thanks to Zoom and Skype and all of those great technological resources we had, I was able to write with friends in Nashville, new friends in Chicago, friends in LA, Vancouver, Toronto, and then the funny thing was I was still writing with my friends who are in the Alberta area. So no matter really where you were zoomed in or hanging out on a computer screen, kind of like we are today. But everyone was sort of just down to do it and have fun with it and make the most of it. So.
Right. Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that for sure. So when it came to, like you mentioned, you recorded some of your parts at home. Were you sending these to a producer somewhere else, or how did sort of the actual putting the single together sort of come together?
Right. So yes, I was working with a producer in Nashville. His name's Shannon Macarthur. So I recorded all my own parts at home in my own home. I'll say studio, but kind of like a little home setup. And I would be zooming in with him. So I'd send him all the parts. Then we would work on the entire song together using things like audio movers, and which is pretty incredible because you can actually in real time hear exactly what he's doing as far as mixing and adding in parts. And it was so close to being there without actually being there. It was pretty cool.
You got to save on the plane ticket? Okay, cool. I mean, Nashville's really cool to see, but
yes.
Of course, you mentioned that Shannon Macarthur there, who actually also was a part of your last single, Drive, too, then.
Yes, he was. So that's actually sort of how we ended up working together on this new single, After 31, was I wrote that song with Shannon many years ago when I was living in Los Angeles. And it kind of, during COVID, you kind of go through old things. And, I was just thinking about music, and a lot of my friends and family had said, whatever happened to that one song, Drive, we really liked it. And I said, I don't know. And honestly, I kind of lost a little bit of touch with Shannon. So I reached out and we were able to connect over COVID and put out a acoustic-y feeling version of the song that was new for everyone. And we kind of got to talking a little further about working on another project, hopefully in the future. And here we are. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So just sort of reconnecting because you guys wrote a song together, and just from there, over since 8 years ago, I've totally become like this producer and like built this thing, and I've got a studio now. So yeah, I can totally help throw this all together.
Yeah. It felt really meant to be, in a cool way.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those very small world moments, right? Where
totally.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Now we're into the next era of my career. Awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of awesome.
I love that. And of course, I love this track, as I mentioned. I feel it a little bit more than maybe just because I myself just recently turned the age of 31.
Oh, wow.
But of course, it's from what I can read, it also, from what I can see, it seems to be the most open, raw, and honest song that you've released so far. So I've mentioned that I connect to it, but I'd love to know exactly what sort of inspired this track and what truly does it mean to you, Alex?
Right. Oh, well, thank you so much for saying that you connect to it. It really means a lot. And that was kind of the goal with it. I wrote this song with two other amazing Canadian country artists, Parker Gray and Lydia Sutherland. Lydia's in her 20s and Parker is also in her 30s. And we were kind of talking about how it doesn't really matter what life stage you're at. You have these expectations of yourself and the things you want to achieve before you get to those stages. And the more we got to talking, the more we realized we had a lot of similar experiences. And what was cool about that was this song, a lot of the lines are super personal to me, but they are kind of personal to all of us at different points. And we kind of thought what was neat about that was that hopefully it means a lot of other people can relate to them too. And, maybe it's not the exact same age that we're mentioning in the song, but the experience that you go through at those times, I think we're hoping that it can, relate to a lot of people. And yeah, you're absolutely right. This one is really close to my heart. When we were writing it, I actually, one of the lines made me just really like tear up and get emotional. And I'm an emotional person, but not in music. I've always found ways to I like to get raw, but I can usually kind of keep my composure. But this song was just it got me. And it was in that moment, it's still in the middle of the write, where I thought, I think this is a special song and I think I need to do something with it. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, very cool indeed. And I love how you mentioned that, where you might not necessarily have the exact experience, but just hearing that experience can make someone go, oh, that's kind of like this one time, right? And I can definitely see how it would hit home too, because you're singing about with dealing with your mom, relationships, life expectations. I mean, there's so many emotions and like just thoughts and just growth, because that's just exactly it, is it's going through growth and realizing that like all of these things that maybe I hoped would go wrong, or things that I thought were going wrong, maybe weren't as big of a deal as I thought they would be. And everything ended up being all right, even though if in the moment I thought my world was falling apart.
Totally. Yeah, no, that's, you've nailed it. That was kind of the goal that we hoped that would come across. So
well, I mean, I did mention it did hit a little bit close to home. So
I hope we didn't make you cry.
No. Oh, I love it. So, of course, it's your first single here in essentially exactly a year. So, what does the future sort of hold here for Alex Hughes? Is there a new album on the way? Is there going to be another string of singles? What is the near future, the rest of 2021, the beginning of 2022 hold?
Yes. So I'm really excited. I'm part of a artist development program in Alberta called Project Wild. So I get to work, really dive deep into my career as part of this program, which I'm really looking forward to. It's going to really help with, building goals and plans for the future. But I've already done a lot of strategizing. So I do have 2 more singles that I'll want to release, hopefully before mid 2022. And then by the end of 2022, I want to do the full album. So it's all kind of in the works, but I'm really excited for what's to come.
Okay, so you have a game plan sort of in sight, but there's a lot of things in between point A and point B here still. Okay. You mentioned the Project Wild there, which is an incredible project that helps so many different songwriters. And of course, only 12 a year, but it's for those 12 people, that's quite an opportunity. And the knowledge, the experience that it gives you access to is just invaluable. So what are some of the things that you, Alex, are hoping to sort of learn from Project Wild here?
Yeah, I'm really excited to just kind of dive deep. And, we're so lucky to be able to do it in Calgary and utilize the National Music Center, which is just an amazing building with so many great, there's recording studios, there's all the historical equipment. It's an inspiring space. And I'm really excited to just dive deep into my own career and do a lot of goal setting, as well as like we get to collaborate with each other. There's some songwriting challenges. We get to do a charitable collaboration, which I'm really, really excited about. And it's, it couldn't come at a better time, because even though we're definitely starting to look at a brighter future, I've noticed, a lot of events are still maybe not happening, or not happening in the way they would have before. So to have this to look forward to and to motivate me is just so exciting. So I feel incredibly honored to be part of the program. The 12 artists are like, lots of them are friends, and they're all super cool. So I'm just kind of excited to hang. It's everything about it's going to be really fun.
Oh, well, it sounds incredible for sure. And I'm very excited to see and hear the things that come out of Project Wild from not just you, but also these collaborations, these 11 other artists here too. Oh, and of course you mentioned the return to live, and how maybe we haven't been able to fully return, but at the very least, we have been able to get onto a stage to be able to get that feedback, that right away, be able to get that energy with the live crowd. And of course, you have had the opportunity to actually do exactly that. Get back up on a stage, rock on out, make the crowd go crazy. And what has it been like to finally return there? And then also to bring these new songs to the stage as well?
It's been incredible. It's hard to even put words to how much it meant to get back on a stage after so long. And there were a few things that kind of eased into it. But one of the big performances that I got to do was I got to play the Nashville North stage at the Calgary Stampede, which is a festival stage. And it's just got to play it with a full band. And I think there were a couple of times during that performance where I kind of choked up because after not being able to do it for so long, to be able to have the opportunity to connect with the audience and share music and have fun with the band, it was just, as you were saying, right, invaluable. It was just the best feeling. So
awesome. Well, I'm glad that you had the opportunity to do that, from small stages to the Calgary Stampede itself. It's quite a few various moments, various feels for sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I have had a blast here chatting about this a new track After 31 and sort of your progression into it here, Alex. I have one last question. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, of course, like I just mentioned, we've talked about growing into this new single, which is fairly reminiscent, I must say, and just sort of showing the growth. So what I would love to end off on is growth itself. So what I would love to know is, over the past 2 years of becoming a solo artist, having to adapt into building your own little recording setup, all of this songwriting, otherwise releasing these singles, finding your sound. How has this time, the past 2 years, helped you grow as a person? Or what has it taught you about yourself?
Wow, that is a very deep question. That's great. I think I've finally grown into the artist that I want to be. And I think I'm only just starting to touch that, get right into that, but I can feel it. And I'm just really excited that that work that I have been putting in is starting to kind of pay off. And I'm kind of trying to start to settle into who I want to be as an artist. And I'm grateful, because I think that's one thing that people don't necessarily think about, is it takes a lot of looking within to try to figure out who you are and who you want to be as an artist, and try to bring that kind of together. And I really had to, put a lot of work into it and dive deep. And I think I'm still doing that, but I can feel, especially with this new song, that we're starting to get there, and I'm really excited. So,
well, that makes me very excited as well to see what the future holds. And of course, we already know it holds 2 upcoming singles and a new album. Who knows what else? Who knows what else?
It's exciting.
Ooh, very exciting. But until then, until the future reveals to us what it holds, Alex, I want to thank you so very much for joining me here today on the Desert Tiger podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and for all the great questions. I really appreciate it.